You know, my old buddy Robbie's been changing his own oil in his car since he bought his first car back in high school. Robbie, how you doing? Good to see you.
How you doing?
Hey, Nick. Well, he thought it was about time that he showed Nick just how simple it can be to change your own oil and your own oil filter.
You know, Dad said it should only take about 30 minutes to change my oil.
If you don't get too many texts and tweets.
Okay, guys, you take care of business with the car. I'm going to walk through the process over here. Now, Robbie's been doing this for a long time, so he has all of the equipment he's going to need to help Nick out on this job. So let's look at those things right now. Well, first of all, we've got an oil filter wrench set, a catch and recycle oil pan, need a funnel, good collection of clean rags, very important, safety goggles or glasses, set of work gloves, good idea to have hand cleaner nearby, and the right amount of oil and of course the right type of oil. But most importantly, the Platinum NAPA filter. This is the right filter for this job. Now at this point it looks as though Nick has checked his owner's manual to make sure he has the right type, weight, and number of quarts of oil that he's going to need. Now, since warm oil drains faster than cold, Nick needs to run the engine just for a few minutes to make sure it warms up. Never ever change the oil in an engine when it's at full operating temperature because it's going to be way too hot. All right, we've let the car run for a few minutes. It is warmed up. Nick is going to check his owner's manual to locate the car's oil drain plug. The car is turned off. The key is removed. He has applied the parking brake and placed chucks behind the rear wheels for safety. But before getting started, Nick also needs to remember to put on his safety glasses and his gloves. The oil drain plug is usually located near the front center of the engine, but some vehicles do have more than one plug. He's locating the plug, and Nick is going to put the drain pan right underneath. The oil is going to drain at an angle, so he makes sure to position that right in the right position to catch that oil. You should also make sure the drain pan is large enough to hold whatever amount of oil your car requires. Next, Nick loosens the plug with a socket wrench so he can unscrew it by hand. Now, as the oil drains into the pan, Nick checks his service manual to find the location of his filler cap on top of the engine. Removing the filler cap makes the draining process faster because air can enter from the top. Once all the oil is drained, he replaces and tightens the oil plug by hand, making sure it's not cross-threaded. Once the plug seems tight, you can finish tightening it with a wrench. Always use a new drain plug gasket and never over-tighten the drain plug. Even though Nick has drained the old oil, he knows that the old oil filter could still have some hot oil inside the canister, so he's very careful to remove the filter. Robbie reminds Nick to clean the mounting surface on the engine and checks to make sure the gasket from the old filter is not stuck to it. Before installing the new Platinum NAPA oil filter, Nick lightly coats its rubber seal with fresh oil. He checks to make sure the seal is properly seated in the filter, then screws the filter on by hand. It's usually not necessary to tighten the oil filter with a wrench, but check the filter's instructions to be sure. Now Nick can remove the chucks and back off the ramps. Now that Nick's installed the new Platinum NAPA oil filter, it's time to pour in the new synthetic oil. Robbie gives Nick a clean funnel to make sure he doesn't add any dirt when he pours in the new oil. Make sure you only add the amount of oil specified in your vehicle's service manual. And after pouring in the oil, don't forget to replace the oil cap on the engine. Now that he's changed his oil and oil filter, Nick cranks his car and runs the engine for a few minutes. Robbie and Nick check the area around the oil drain plug and the filter to make sure there are no leaks. If you see a leak, you should cut off the engine and correct it. Seeing no leaks, Nick shuts off the engine and lets it rest for a minute or two to give the new oil time to drain down. To make sure he's put in enough oil, Nick removes the dipstick, wipes it off, replaces it, then removes it again to see if it's up to the full mark.
Looks good to me.
Looks like the right amount of oil was used and all is good.
Good job, Nick. Now you know how to change your oil.
You're right, Dad. That was pretty easy.
Now you can check your texts and tweets or whatever you do with that thing.
When you change your oil, always remember to dispose of the old oil and oil filter at an authorized center.
Dad, shouldn't we check to see if the air filter and the cabin air filter need changing?
Well, you're just a chip off the old block.
Looks like it. I'm impressed. Hey, you guys know it's going to end up on YouTube.
It can go viral.
Do I need a shot?
When you change one filter, take the opportunity to check all your vehicle's filters. You'll be glad you did.
Here are a few more tips. Check your owner's service manual to see how much oil to buy and what weight and viscosity you need. You will also want to know the year, make, model, and mileage of your vehicle when you go into your NAPA Auto Parts store to buy your oil and filters. Note that some vehicles use remote-mounted oil filters that may be on top or on the side of the engine. Also, check your owner's service manual before working on a specialty vehicle to see if there are any other things you should do to stay safe. For example, some hybrid vehicles have auto starts, so removing the key from the ignition, that's a must. Always record the date and mileage every time you change your oil, so you'll know when your car or truck is due for another oil change. Always handle hot motor oil with extreme caution and wear gloves to keep your hands protected and clean. And remember, if you don't have time or you're not inclined to change your own oil, you can always take your vehicle to your local NAPA Auto Care Center. They'll be happy to do it for you.
NAPA Filters. All you need to know.